Hey, what's up, my fellow project managers? How you doing? It's your buddy Phil here. Just checking up on you. I know those of you in other parts of the world are rounding up your day, but I thought I'd just check in and see how you're doing and give you a few reminders for your PMP exam success. I know lots of you are trying to get this done before June. I just wanted to give you a few tips and tricks while I'm here trying to get my own workout in, and at the same time, believe it or not, I study. So as I'm here on the mill, I'm actually studying. You got to do everything possible to get information you need into your hard drive. You got to do everything possible. Have you studied today? Have you opened a book? And when I say the book, it may not be a physical book. Right now, I'm studying a book on human relations and things in chapter 3 in the PMBOK guide. Sunil, how you doing? Sunil, you should be on your chapter 7 today, right? Or are you consolidating what we studied last night? I know last night was a bit tough for some folks. 7 hours pounding on the PMBOK guide, right? But my reminders, folks, are really that you got to open the book, right? You got to open the book. You got to highlight that book. You got to pound it out. No one's going to do it for you. Great job, Sunil. I'm glad you are pounding on chapter 7. Next week, earn value. We've got roughly 15 different formulas, 15 different permutations to go through. So it will make sense this weekend before Monday comes, Sunil, to put in some time, to get it done. But a lot of people, they often say, Phil, I don't have time to study. It's like me saying, I don't have time to work out. How am I going to lose 25 pounds? How did I lose 22 pounds already? It's the repetition. It's like eating your veggies, right? A lot of kids hate eating veggies, but they're good for you. Reading the PMBOK guide is good for you. So let's talk about chapter 4. A few things I discovered in the past week. A lot of people still do not know WPR cycle. If you don't know this cycle, you don't know where WPD comes from, you don't know where it goes to, you don't know where WPI comes from, you don't know where it goes to, you're loosey-goosey, you don't know your WPR, where it goes to. Open up the PMBOK guide, folks, read it. Chapter 4 is the glue. It's the glue that binds all the other chapters, all the other knowledge areas. If you don't know integration, I don't see how you're going to do well on the exam, my friends. Think about it. Authorization for the project is from integration. Consolidation of the plans is an integration. And not just that, the establishment of configuration management planning and change management planning is from develop project management plan. It's amazing. People say, Phil, I don't know where the change management plan comes from. I don't blame them, because the PMI did not make it clean, crystal clear what happens on page 89. Configuration management plan has no home. Change management plan has no home. And people are wondering, where do these come from? It comes from develop project management plan. That's where the skeletal plan is developed. A lot of folks don't know this. So in my training this week, because I'm doing 2 back-to-back classes, I realized people don't know page 89 very well, and they don't know where those things come from. I got a great question from one of our students about the PMB. We talk about the PMB in passing, but do you really know what it is? The essence of it. It's just an integrated plan, or baseline, if you will, of all those 3 components. A lot of folks don't know. You see, the mayor of PMP. Great to see you, my friend. How you doing? Yes, Sunil, you are right. You absolutely should study before coming into the class, because I really liked what happened last night. in the class because I got some really great questions from you guys. I got some really great contributions. And it shows me a lot of you are studying ahead of time to come in and ask very productive questions. Think about scope management. Same thing in scope management. There are a lot of things people are not aware of, like the WBS. If you're studying for the exam, go read up about the root node, about the control account, about the planning package, and about work packages, and really know them well. I got some great questions from Mario last night, and that's how it's supposed to be. Don't just read on the surface. You got to read deep. So scope, you got to understand the WBS could be used to identify risks. You got to understand the WBS could be used as part of a tool we call the RAM. And the RACI chart is a type of RAM, but it starts off with the WBS juxtaposed with the OBS. But a lot of folks have not read to this level. So I want to encourage you, read to the lower levels. Hey, read. Get a book and read it. Put it on your phone, on your device. Read the PMBOK guide. What about chapter 6, schedule management? I realize some folks don't know of the different slacks. So free slack, project slack, total slack. Also the leveling, resource smoothing, you know, the differences between them and what really makes up schedule compression. Like read it in the book, because on the exam, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna give you definitions from the book in the questions. So I just wanted to come on here and encourage you. There's a lot more to do than just take exam questions. You have to read and understand. And I know some questions help expose you to topics you don't know, but they may not teach you. All right? Thank you, Sunil. Page 210. What's on page 210, Sunil? I can't remember what's on page 210. Is that the schedule? That's schedule management? Or is that scope? I can't remember. But bottom line, my friends, make it a point of Slack, of course, yes. Slack, float, leads, lags, all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So, my friends, the summary of what I'm saying is there are a lot of things in the chapters. We haven't really hit chapter 7, Sunil, but the class I did last week, they really got the concepts very well in terms of the formulas. And that's because I slowed it down. You got to slow it down. With the formulas, you got to slow it down. You can't afford to be in a rush. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. So slow down in chapter 7. Make sure you master those formulas. Don't beat yourself up over what you can't get in 2 seconds. Slow it down. And then in terms of quality, there are a boatload of tools and techniques. You got to know them all. You got to know your rule of 7 and your control charts. You got to know the difference between managed quality and control quality, you know? You got to know those differences, I tell you. You also, in resource management, need to understand the intricacies. There's a lot of intricacy in plan resource management. Team management plan versus physical resource management plan. You got to know what is in your resource management plan. You also have to know that control resources has nothing to do with the humans. Things like that. You also need to realize that 3-point estimating is not used in acquire or estimate, I beg your pardon, activity resources. That one, we don't use 3-point estimating. And so little things like that, patterns, you got to get them straight. I can't overstate page 25, and it's important. If you haven't mastered page 25, bring out a piece of paper and do it. Renee, how you doing? So the PMI-PBA, I think we have 1 or 2 people in our group that have done it, but I've not really looked at it, to be honest. But what I have done is I've examined the PMI's business analysis. I'm not sure if it's a practice guide or standard, but it's a really good book, and I've developed content from it. I would say definitely focus on that. I would say probably don't focus on stuff that is outside of the PMI's realm. So collect requirements in the PMBOK guide is not a bad chapter, or bad section, but the PMI focus more on elicitation for the PMI-PBA. So Renee, if I were you, I would read that entire standard for business analysis. It's a great, in my opinion, it's better than collect requirements. And that is really what the exam is going to be based on. They really go deep into requirements elicitation. That's a key word. It's not even collecting, it's the drawing out. So that really forms the basis of how you manage requirements from end to end. So if you haven't read that standard, have you read it? If you haven't read it, I'll say start there. You know, with any PMI certification, my friends, it's all about reading the standard behind it. That's why I keep going on and on about the PMBOK guide. Read the PMBOK guide. Once you read the PMBOK guide, you've got a basis for understanding PMI's input tool technique model, output model. And Renee, that will help you on your PMI PBA. So have you downloaded it? Have you read it? Because that's what I would recommend. And ping me an email. I'm going to look into our group. I know that we've got 1 or 2 people who have done that exam, but I can't remember exactly. But the feedback that I got, I was told that the exam is not half as hard. Alfred, good to see you, man. I hope you got my email about the audio digest, Alfred. There is a tool you can get from Amazon that will enable you play from your phone and hear it in the car. So it's like a FM transmitter. And I actually bought one of those because I had a lot of stuff I needed to listen to in the car. And like you, my car doesn't have the fancy Bluetooth and aux jacks. So yeah, buy that thing, man. It's only about £8 on Amazon.co.uk. Get it and just plug it into your headphone jack. Hey Egypt, how are you? Have you recovered from last night? Have you recovered? Oh my goodness. Oh dear. You're going to tear your PMBOK guide into shreds? Oh no. Maribel has started a movement here. Yes. I think Maribel would have put that in the group. So go on the group, Sunil, on Facebook. I think she put it out like she said. Go check it out. Yeah, I know you're certified, aren't you, Renee? Yeah, I remember that. I remember you shared the good news. I remember you are a PMP, and a PMI-PBA would be a nice next move. And just read that standard, okay? Read the standard, the business analysis. I think it's a practice guide. Yeah, oh, you're going to tear it into sections, Egypt. Good idea. Good idea. Just do whatever you need to do to get the information. Oh, it's still private because she told me that she was going to make it public. All right, check her profile again in a day or two. And she's right there on the group. If you just tag her, she'll see your tag. All right? All right, my friends. Well, I wanted to go through the entire knowledge area array. So the next few chapters, communication, the number of channels formula, I wouldn't put it past the PMI. I wouldn't ignore that if I were you. All right? When it comes to managed communications versus managed stakeholder engagement versus monitor stakeholder engagement versus monitor communications, there is a tight link between all four. And you know the way you can understand it? It's by reading, my friends, the actual benefits of each one in the PMBOK guide. So I want to challenge you. 10.2, 10.3, what's the difference? Do a deep analysis, it's going to help you. Then 10.2 and 13.3, what are the differences? What are the similarities? Then 13.3, 13.4, what are the differences? What are the similarities? It is going to help you on your exam. The benefits of each process, it's there in the PMBOK guide. You know, each process uses the model. This process does this, this, and that. And then I might go into a second paragraph. It says the key benefits of this process are, and it gives you a boatload of text. That text is gold. You got to understand what they're talking about when they say the key benefit of each process is that blah, blah, blah. You got to know it, my friends. That is pure gold. And I found out that those benefits, the questions that I usually base on the benefits, people get them wrong half of the time. All right, so go read up your key benefits of each process. There are 49 of them. Read through all of them. One more piece of advice about the entire PMBOK guide on page 25. Page 25, drawing it out, that's all well and good, but I want to challenge you to go to the back of the book, to the standard, around page 555, read all that section in one go. Just sit down for 2 hours, 3 hours, and read the high level of each process. Take note of the outputs because they give you a different set of tables without the tools and techniques. Go to the back of the book, make sure you can master that, okay? And if you find out that you don't know the key outputs of a process, it means you need to spend more time at the back of the book, page 555, around that place where it has all the 49 by process group. All right? That's what you need to do. And then in addition to that, page 686 to 693, you're going to have to go through that and study where do those key tools and techniques actually get used. Product analysis, where is it used? So Neil, do you remember product analysis? Where is it used? Egypt, tell me. This is an on-the-spot grill. Tell me. Product analysis. Do you guys remember? Do you remember where product analysis is used? Tell me you haven't forgotten it. Tell me, quick, quick, quick. What about decomposition? Where is it used? Tell me the two places. We talked about this last night, my friends. But let's start with product analysis. Tell me, quick. Where do we use product analysis? You see what I'm saying? You need page 686 to 694. I'm putting you on the spot, putting you on blast. Read page 686 to 694. Know where these unique tools and techniques are used. Problem solving, things like that. Know where they're used. The unique ones, the ungrouped. You got to know where the ungrouped ones are used. And there are certain grouped tools and techniques that are unique. You got to know them, folks. You got to eat them like ice cream. You got to enjoy it. Enjoy unraveling your study guide, your PMBOK guide. Okay? All right. So we talked about communications and stakeholder all at once. In terms of risk, the noise levels on the LinkedIn group, I don't know if you are part of all these LinkedIn groups that people put together. There are a number of them I belong to, including PMI's group. But the noise levels about the exam, oh, I got a boatload of risk. Of course you will get a boatload of risk. One of the things we discovered yesterday was everything is centered on risk. It's there in the PMBOK guide. Everything is centered on risk. Lack of performance, lack of engagement, it's all risk-based. So if you don't do what you should, you're opening a can of worms. More risks end up creeping into your project. So what I advise you to do is read up chapter 11, like the whole exam depends on it. I was having a chat with my buddy, Dr. David Hilson, and we were talking about how you can have a risk-based approach to viewing the PMBOK guide. See the PMBOK guide as a guide for managing risks. You see what I'm saying? Because if you do all these 49 things, you're reducing the possibility of failure, the unknown, right? The more you unravel your project, the less risks you're likely to have, right? You're minimizing, mitigating, sometimes avoiding risks in your great planning. So it's important that you look at chapter 11 as the base for a lot of the questions on the exam. And that's why people say, oh, I got a risk question. No, you didn't get a risk question. You got a question from schedule that is attached to risk, as is normal. You got a question on earned value that really tests you. I like what Dre, one of our students, said. He said, The PMI will test your loyalty. Are you loyal? Are you still loyal to the PMBOK guide? Are you loyal to the concepts? And it's true. You got to be loyal to the chapters. You got to know them inside out. So risk needs to be read like the whole exam is based on it. Another thing I get a lot of, which is comical, I'll say, is integration management is not focused on by a lot of people. But then in the same breath, they turn around and say, I had a boatload of change management questions. Hello, of course you will. That's what integration in monitoring and controlling is really all about. Everything is funneled up. Change requests are funneled up into performing integrated change control from every monitoring and controlling process outside of integration. So of course, you will get change management questions that are related to the knowledge areas in isolation, but also to integration. So my friends, you want to look at this process, performing integrated change control. There's a lot of gold that attaches things from risk, communications, up into performing integrated change control. If you do not know the steps for change control, you got to go read it. You got to go study it, okay? You got to go study it. Last but not least, we've got procurements. And in procurement, you got to know your contract types. But don't look at contract types like a robot. You know, I get from a lot of people, oh, fixed price is the best for the buyer. No, it's not. Fixed price is not always ethical. Did it occur to you that if you badger a seller into a fixed price contract, did it occur to you that that is unethical? Especially if you are a government worker. If you work for the US government and you unjustly craft a fixed price contract, you could be in trouble. The seller could turn around and do other things to you. And the government know this. That's why they train their people on the contract types, the contract vehicles to use. Fixed price is not always the best, I can tell you. It's unethical to put in play a fixed price contract when you very well know that the scope of work is so undefined. So don't jump at fixed price without fully understanding the implications. And don't jump at CPIF or CPAF or CPFF without remembering that the fee in many of these contracts, the award fee is subjective, broad criteria, understand that, but also the fixed fee, it's fixed based on the initial estimates. So it's not the higher you go, the more you get, no. So you got to understand the mechanics. Also in procurement, did you know that planned procurement management is one of the most unique processes in the PMBOK guide? Did you know that? Planned procurement management has got the highest number of unique outputs in any process. Go check them out. There are seven unique outputs in planned procurement management. Did you know that? Have you examined what the procurement strategy is all about? These are things that people trip up on the exam. All right, so I wanted to come on here and give you a few ideas, okay? Oh, I just saw your chats, Egypt. Okay, Sunil, you're correct. It is defined scope. And thank you, Egypt. Create WBS is where we use decomposition and define activities. We also use that as well. So I'm glad you guys are retaining stuff. Please unfailingly do all your 2020 vision quizzes. The major quizzes in the LMS, in the first set of modules, those are pretty standard. Those are, at best, difficult CAPM questions. Maybe a few of them would be intermediate PMP, but the 2020 vision quizzes and the challenge quizzes, those will give you a run for your money, I'm telling you. So make sure you do those repeatedly, the 2020 vision quizzes, the challenge quizzes, and those are going to test you on all this babble that I'm telling you right here. I think I've been on this thing for about an hour. I think it's telling me it's time to get off. All right, my friends. Well, that's all I had. Have you got any questions that I can answer for you? Any direction I can give you for our next class or for your PMP success? I'm going to phase 2 of my workout before I hop on a plane to go do some more training the following week. So you might see a bit less of me. Ask your questions now while you can. Questions, concerns, complaints about your friends at the PMI. All right, my friends. You're welcome, Sunil. I'm going to hop off here, get plan 2 done for my workout, and then I'll see you guys hopefully later on in the week. If I can, I'll stream some additional stuff during the week as I train. All right. Bye for now, my friends. Be good. Read that guide, okay?